So today I'm going to take you behind the scenes and bring you along on my own version, my own process of generational healing. Some people might call it ancestral healing or lineage healing, but to me, it's all falls under the same umbrella. So I'm going to go through the steps that I take, sort of like a flow chart. And then I'm going to go back and bring in some of the visuals I use that I take into the meditative experiences. The intention that I bring into any sort of ancestral clearing that I do is that it always begins with me. That means I'm not approaching it as martyr or savior or fixer. I don't go into the generations first and start looking for problems. It's that I experience something in my own life first, and then I take it into the lineage. Leading with this intention ensures that not only is my energy always clean about it, but it's the only way that I've ever found to be truly effective. And the magic of it is when you lead with yourself, when you heal you, you automatically heal all. It's the ripple effect. All right, here we go. Step one. So, step one is I always begin with a trigger, something that's happening to me in real time in this life. This particular example was surrounding a jealousy trigger, meaning I was carrying a fear that something I already had, in this case, it was a person, was going to be taken from me. Step two. So, for step two, for years of my practice, I'd take this trigger and then I would go and do some inner child work or some shadow work. But I got to a point in my process where that was no longer enough. It was like too surface. It would clear, sort of, and then the pattern would come back around. Now I know there's layers to everything, but I was never feeling like I was accessing the root. It felt bigger. And that's when I started adapting these three questions that I now ask myself anytime a trigger presents. So for step two, I'll ask myself, is this a this life trigger and pattern? Is it a concurrent life pattern? Or is it a ancestral pattern that needs to be healed? Step three. So, step three will depend on what answer I received in step two. For this particular jealousy trigger, it was a this life thing and an ancestral pattern. So, then I'll go into part A of step three. And I'll go first to the childhood wounding. I'll be asked to shown where this first started in childhood. And I'll also be asked to shown where it resides in my body, where this pain point lives in my body, because the body is always, always, always part of the process. And then after that, I'll go into part B and I'll be asked to shown where this began in the ancestral line. Step four is that I allow the scene, the vision I'm shown of this ancestral belief of where it began and why to play out. And more often than not, when I'm in these ancestral healing sessions, I'm not in the body. I'm more like an observer and I'm there as witness. Step five is that after I get to experience where this belief was formed, sort of the trauma point behind it and why it got carried down through all the generations is I bring in this question. I ask this question next for step five. And I got this question from Penny Pierce's book, Frequency. I'll ask, what lesson was my soul trying to lead me towards? You hanging on with me? So, step six. Step six is once I receive that answer, on what lesson my soul was trying to lead me towards, I'll ask for a new belief, a new empowering belief. And once I receive that new belief, I infuse that through the generations, meaning this pattern, it ends with me. And I don't know if there's anything more powerful than that statement. It ends with me. Step 7 is then I'll bring it back and I'll go through a quick succession. I'll bring it back to this life and my inner child and into adulthood, into any points in this life. I'll ask to be shown all the points in this particular example, all the points of where this jealousy sort of trigger came up. And I'll do these really quick like healing sessions, mini healing sessions. I'll say what needs to be said. Perhaps I'll apologize or ask for forgiveness. I'll maybe redo the scene in which I wish it had gone. And I'll just go through and just trust whatever sort of flashes of vision I'm being shown. Step 8 is that I'll reinforce with my inner child, reinforce like a new belief surrounding this trigger. And then I'll end step 9, I'll end with releasing this block in the body, wherever it was residing in the body. I'm now going to take you through the ancestral part of the clearing that I did with this jealousy trigger. So it always begins by getting myself into a meditative state. For me, that looks like lying down with my eyes closed, headphones in. I'll put on some binaural beats. For the first handful of years of my practice, I relied on a guided meditation, someone else guiding me into my subconscious, but I no longer need that. I can take myself, but I do provide guidance for other people to be able to access their own. My mood lighting, it's completely ruined, but you had to be able to see me. So here we are. So the vision I was shown was of this woman traveling in the desert. She was wearing this like headscarf, perhaps it was around biblical times. And she was very generous of spirit. She had a very kind heart. She was naturally trusting to not just the world, but other humans. Anyone who came across her path, she would offer up whatever she had um, to share with them, knowing that there'd always be more. Until one day, this sort of haggard beggar came up to her. She greeted him like she did everybody else, but instead of taking what she was offering, he ended up robbing her. And when all of your resources are taken in the desert, you're basically left to die. So I'm witnessing the scene play out. I see where this belief was formed, this jealousy piece, this fear that something I have is going to be taken from me, where it shifted from all my needs are met, I have everything I need, to there's not enough to go around, this sort of scarcity mindset. So I asked myself, I asked my soul, what is the lesson you're trying to lead me towards? And the message I received very clearly was that just because there's one rotten apple in the bunch does not make the whole bunch or bushel rotten. And that there are going to be rotten apples out in the world, but that doesn't mean that you can't then believe there's also good apples out in the world. As soon as we cleared this belief, a caravan came along and a very kind man stepped down and asked her what was wrong. And she told him. And he said, "What luck, my dear, because now I'm here and I can take care of you." And he said this phrase that has been coming to me in a lot of different forms, through a lot of different avenues, that to welcome in the good, and that one good thing always leads to another good thing. Often, when I'm doing this lineage clearing, what I like to do is picture myself at the center of this spider web, and that all the different branches are all the lines of my lineage. And so when the pain point comes up or where the belief formed, the trigger formed, the fear point formed, I'll often take some sort of element or I'll bring in a guide to help me, but fire, water, air, and I'll clear the line with this element. And so I'll picture it running through all the spider webs from me in the center out through the generations. And then once I get this new belief, then I'll infuse the line with this new belief. I'll infuse all the different branches of the web with this new belief for the generations. So I'll end with what I told my inner child and how I reinforced this for her in this life. I said, Father Sun is your father, and Mother Earth is your mother, and you are a child of the universe. There is always enough. You are always taken care of. You are safe. Your needs are met. There is plenty to go around.